So the real estate market is definitely changing. In this video, we're going to talk about the market and we're going to keep it real. So the real estate market of today is completely different than the real estate market of 6 or 8 months ago. Things have slowed down tremendously here in Charlotte, around the country. Obviously, things were overheated and the Federal Reserve has increased interest rates to the point where mortgage rates are now hovering at about 7%, which obviously kicks a lot of people out of the market. It scares a lot of people. However, this is what is really going on. The number of homes that have been put up for sale is actually decreasing as we speak. A lot of sellers are deciding not to put their homes on the market and are just going to sit it out and wait. We're entering into the winter. Things typically slow down a little bit. But right now, people are not throwing their houses up onto the market. The second thing is buyer demand is down. So it looks like inventory is actually up, but in fact, it's actually not up. It's just that there are a lack of buyers going to purchase what's on the market right at this moment. Which, if you are a buyer in the market, is great news. Reason why it's great news is because a house that comes on the market, we can go in, we can take a look at, and we can decide if we want to buy it. And if we don't like that house, there's another house. We don't have lines out the door anymore. We don't have cars lining up. We don't have the craziness anymore. And frankly, it's a welcome relief for me and for the buyers that I'm working with. We can actually go into a house and have a choice. It's amazing. It's not like 6 months ago where every house that came on the market, there was a line out the door to try and get in. Now, the market that I deal with mostly is the higher end market, the luxury market. And I can tell you that from the luxury market perspective, if you're a buyer, and if you can afford, either you can pay cash or you get an adjustable rate mortgage, because mortgage rates will eventually come down. This is a pretty good time to buy. Let me tell you why it's a good time to buy. So a couple of examples from my experience that I have been dealing with right now. I have one buyer. The house was selling for almost $2.1 million. Now the house was overpriced. My job, working for you, is to get you the lowest price possible. I said to my buyer, let's go in at $1.675 million. Now I looked at the comps. There's no way that this house was ever worth $2.1 million. It was overpriced. Maybe the house should have been selling for closer to $2 million or $1.95 million. We decided to go in at $1.675 million. I negotiated this particular home on a plane from Charlotte to New York City. Ultimately, we got the house and we closed on it for $1.8 million. Now the house did need work. Epic house, but it did need work. Wasn't on the market for that long, but there were not a lot of showings. I could tell how many showings there were on this particular home, and I knew that we had an advantage as the buyer. Example number 2 from my dealings right now. A house in a very prestigious neighborhood as well. Originally was selling for $2.3 million. It was under contract, came out of contract. It had been sitting on the market for about 40 days. From $2.3 million, they finally reduced the price to $2.15 million, which is more in line of where it should be. We went in at $1.95 million and we negotiated, and we are not closed on it yet, but we're going to close on this home at approximately $2 million. So from these buyers' perspectives, this was the perfect time to purchase the home. These are homes in prestigious neighborhoods that are not going to go down more than what we have gotten thus far. It is impossible to know for sure, right? From my experience, we are making the market, the buyer's agents. Some of the sellers are still in la la land. They are in another world, as are the agents, putting the houses up for prices that the houses were worth 6 months ago is not the same price that the house is worth today. Now, if a house is in great condition and in a very, very desirable area, that price, while still negotiable, if it's listed high, will not have as much of a discount potential. Another example, I was working with a buyer, a house selling for $1.4 million, a ranch home. We've been looking forever for the perfect house. We found the perfect house. Now, my buyer went in at an unrealistic price of $1.2 million. Now, I knew that this was going to be a price, and I told him that it was going to be too low in order to have a shot at this house. This house was pristine, needed no work, and in one of the most desirable areas of Charlotte. This house in this market had multiple offers. I went back to my buyer. I told him there's multiple offers, and he became stubborn. He did go up to $1.25 million, but due diligence wasn't going to budge on anything else. Now, I have to have something in which to negotiate with, and he was kind of tying my hands behind my back. We did not get the house. His wife really wanted the house. In fact, we had a contract out on another home, and his wife went to look at it again and started crying that she didn't want the house. So this was the perfect house. He had the means, but was being a little bit unrealistic as a buyer. Ultimately, that house at $1.4 million closed at $1.285. For $35,000, we did not get the house. Another great thing for buyers is that I get emails, literally blowing up my emails, telling me that there's price reductions, that they're offering this, they're offering that, they're giving money towards reduction in interest rates. New home builders, this is kind of like, I like to see this kind of new home builders that were so cocky not more than 6 months ago or 4 months ago. Price reductions. They're giving incentives. They're giving you gas money to go and take a look at their homes. They are now begging for people to come to their neighborhoods. So if you're looking to buy a house and you are able to afford the interest rate, looking to buy a house right now, if you need a house, now is not a horrible time to purchase a home. The big number for me as an agent, for you as a buyer, is the days on market. The longer that house has been on the market, the more I have an edge. More I am confident that I can go in there and get the home for a lower price. The more confident I am that I know that the agent on the other end is not BSing me. Now, if you're renting and you're paying a fortune in rent, if you look at the monthly payment for a mortgage, even at 7%, if you get an adjustable rate, I'm not a mortgage lender, I can set you up with somebody who's awesome, but if you can get the number that you can afford to pay versus paying a rent, go ahead and buy the house. It doesn't make sense to be paying rent when you can purchase the home at a similar price. If you can afford the monthly payment, it's not a bad time to buy a house. Will the housing prices go lower? Maybe. Don't know that for sure. But right now, I'm negotiating for every house that I'm going into, except for one, which was owned by an investor, wasn't even counter offering. I am getting discounts. New homes, resale homes, mostly in the luxury realm. So that's the market in a nutshell. If you're a buyer, it's a good time to buy if you can afford it. A lot of people who I'm working with are paying cash. They're coming from California, they're coming from around the world. Market is still very, very reasonable, especially when I can get you a lower price. If you like this video, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.